Uh,
Nana? Okay. Imagine you're in a world where everything is dark and cozy and warm. You're in the most comfortable you've ever been. You're never hungry or tired. And sometimes you can hear this lovely voice or feel someone trying to touch you through the walls of your home. Then in one day, in one violent moment, you feel the greatest amount of pain imaginable. And before you know it, it's there again on your tiny body. Something clamped onto your limbs and is pulling them apart. Soon your dismembered, lifeless body is lying in an empty bowl. Your life is over. You are just a organ. It's a scientific fact that life begins at conception. However, if one has even a single shred of doubt about when life begins, they are still morally obligated to err on the side of life and not have an abortion. Because to make that mistake is to kill an innocent baby. This topic is important because not speaking out unapologetically against the slaying of precious babies is a truly radical and extreme position. First, I'm going to let you know what abortion is, and then we'll talk about some of the reasons people think it's okay. Third, we'll discuss the scientific facts about abortion. Fourth, finally, I will talk about abortion procedures. Let's start with what abortion is. Merriam-Webster defines abortion as a procedure to end a pregnancy and cause the death of the fetus. In 1973, the Supreme Court case Roe v. Wade ruled that a woman has the right to an abortion in the first 6 months of the pregnancy. This is under the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment, which is the right to privacy. The court determined that a non-viable baby, or a baby who cannot survive outside of the womb, isn't a person, so they don't have any rights. The knowledge or permission of the father is not necessary to have an abortion, even though the mom and dad have equal rights when the baby is born. Now that you know what it is, I'm going to talk about what society thinks about it. Why do some people believe that abortion is okay? One reason is that women do not have all the facts. According to healthfeeding.edu, scientists have found a link between breast cancer, and abortion, but doctors are not disclosing this information to women for fear that they will not go through the abortion. Breast cancer fundraisers are stifling this information as well for fear of losing their pro-choice advocates. Planned Parenthood does not disclose any long-term risks or health risks on their site. Another reason that people think it's okay is that because they believe that if abortion is illegal again, some women will go to extreme measures and get unsafe, illegal abortions and cause more deaths among women. Politicians would like you to believe that 10,000 women died every year that abortion was illegal. According to PubMed.org, the death rate is 3 times higher from abortion than after giving birth. In the year 1972, the year right before the Roe v. Wade, the CDC Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report stated that there were 39 deaths due to illegal abortion, and 41 died that year from legal abortion. In 1957, there was 260 in the whole United States. In New York City in 1951, there was only 50. And in 1921, 41 women died from abortion-related deaths. In the case of rape, incest, or harm to the mother's rights supersede the rights of the baby. There are all sorts of circumstances that people point to for justification for these abortions. But since none of these make killing a baby okay after birth, they are absolutely not okay before birth. The mother's rights and the baby's rights are completely unequal. In an abortion, what's at stake for the women is usually their lifestyle versus a baby's life. Now that we have covered these misconceptions, we can move on to the science. Science clearly states that life begins at conception. Fertilization usually occurs within 1 day of intercourse, but it can happen within up to 6 days. The genetic composition of the baby is formed at conception. This genetic composition determines the baby's eye, hair, and personality. 10 weeks after fertilization, the brain and spinal cord are formed. heart pumps blood to the whole body, and the whole body is sensitive to touch. He or she may make facial expressions. The terms toddler and adolescent are just terms that cover the development of a human, but so are embryo and fetus. If an infant was left alone without care after birth, then they would die too. With the exception of identical twins, the odds against conceiving the same genetic makeup twice is greater than 10 to the 600 power to 1. For comparison, there are roughly 10 to the 80th power atoms in the universe. I hope you can see the myths that shroud abortion. Now let's look at what it really is. Abortion is more than just a medical procedure. There are two different ways of killing the baby. The first is through medication. The doctors will give you two different medications. One is called RU486, or the abortion pill. Its official name is called Iversen. Iversen works by blocking progesterone. Without progesterone, the lining of the uterus breaks down and a pregnancy cannot continue. The second medication is called misoprostol. This basically causes the uterus to empty. The other method is through medical procedure. There's six different variations of the medical procedure. The first one is called the manual vacuum aspiration. This happens within the first trimester. Basically, they use a handheld syringe to suction the baby out of the uterus. The second is a machine vacuum aspiration, which is also done in the first trimester. It's similar, but done with a machine, a pump, to suction the baby out of the uterus. The third is called dilation and curettage, or GNC. A curette is a spoon-shaped tool used to scrape the uterus walls and pull the baby out of the uterus. The fourth is the dilation and evacuation. This usually happens in the second trimester, with a combination of vacuum, dilation and curettage, forceps, and a long tooth clamp. The clamp is used to reach inside the uterus and pull and grab the baby's limbs and pull them from his body. The baby is literally pulled apart inside of you. The fifth method is called induction abortion. This is when a mother is given Pitocin and her labor begins. Then they inject the baby through the stomach with a toxin called Iversen, which is used to kill the baby, but sometimes it fails. When it's done, they leave the baby in a cold metal bowl, and if the digoxin fails, they just put a sheet over the bowl and wait for the baby to die. The sixth is called impact dilation and extraction, or DNX. This late-term abortion results in the extraction of the impact baby. The partial birth abortion ban is made it so that you can only get this kind of abortion to save the mother's life. What they do is they will use forceps and they'll reach inside the mother's uterus and turn the baby over so that his face is down and his feet are the first things to come out. They deliver the baby all the way up until the head is the only thing left in the birth canal. And then they use scissors and they shove it into the back of the baby's skull, and then they open it with scissors up to make it a wider hole, and they stick a vacuum in there and suck the baby's brains out, which then the skull collapses and the baby comes out easily. During all of these procedures, a doctor will inject digoxin or potassium chloride into the baby or the amniotic sac, which has a horrible success rate. I counted at least 3 stories from nurses where digoxin was a failure on lifenews.com. However, digoxin never fails to support the baby's entire body or inside their body. As you can see, abortions are all about keeping the dark details a secret. So what can we do about it? In order to seek social justice, we must change the public opinion. People must see abortion kills children and hurts women and leaves a bloody stain on our world before they would join the fight to outlaw it. There's a lot of hard information to get all at once. I want to summarize it for you. A procedure that ends the life of the baby is called an abortion. We cannot equate abortion with politics or treat it, we must treat it for what it really is, a mass genocide, a rights violation, and a tragedy. If we treated it this way, our world would never push it aside. Science shows this demoralized act ends someone's life, and possibly two. An abortion will always hurt the mother. Research on your own, just don't believe the lie. If a man rapes a woman, he is doing an unspeakable act and violating her in the most horrible way. If a woman kills that child that results from the rape, how is she any different? R.C. Sproul Jr. said, "What we can and should do is push ourselves to look closer and closer and closer, to get into the horror so that it stops being merely some important political issue that might influence our vote. This needs to be something that keeps us up at night, that motivates us every day of the week." Thank you.